Yes, folks, New Zealand's zero carbon bill has passed, and it passed easily, and rightfully so, because climate change is real. Greta Thunberg and thousands of climate scientists have told us so. What a lot of crock. The climate is not changing. And now our farmers are expected to foot the bill for this hoax. And not only that, this bill will most likely sink our economy. And will China, the world's worst polluter, pay us more for our products? Of course not. They are laughing all the way to the bank. Anyway, today I'll start this off with a protest that will be happening in Wellington this week. Yeah, now this protest is being organised by 50 Shades of Green, and apparently lots of people are going, so get down there and join them if you can. Now I've posted a link to this page in the description below, and also some people from the New Conservatives will be there as well. And apparently they want to get out of the Paris Agreement completely. March for the Future of Provincial New Zealand. Wellington March to Parliament. Rural NZ has had a gutful. Protest registration form. When? 14 November 2019. I think that's this Thursday. 11 a.m. Civic Square. Expect to be at Parliament 1 p.m. Welcome speeches at Civic Square, 65 Victoria Street, Te Aro, Wellington. And you can read the rest of this yourself, or the following details yourself, later. Anyway, now to the story.
Welcome back. The government's flagship climate change policy, which has faced months of delays, has finally been passed. The Zero Carbon Bill, which got the last-minute backing of the National Party...
Oh, so National backed it.
...cements New Zealand's commitment to become carbon neutral by 2050. An independent commission will be set up to advise governments on how to meet targets, which include reducing methane emissions. But federated farmers fear the only way to meet emissions targets would be a drastic cut in livestock numbers.
Yes, at least a 10% cut. And farmers are already bailing out.
Some of it's fear, but a lot of it's just, they're just over it.
Rob farms sheep and cattle here in Hindon, but lately he's been keeping that quiet.
There's certain places you're at, you don't want to tell people you're a farmer because of the negative comments that you'll get. People just don't understand. They listen to opinions that they're not factually based. A lot of it's ideologically driven.
I would say all of it is ideologically driven.
Just the other day there was one where these people honestly believe that to get wool off a sheep you have to kill it. That's the sort of stuff that's out there.
On top of that, there's those proposals.
There are things that we can be doing better, but we're competing against other countries that aren't having these pressures put on us. So your competitiveness goes out the window when it's costing you an arm and a leg.
Exactly.
To get your produce overseas.
I just think it's one law for some and one law for others.
To me, it's not taking collective responsibility for what's happening.
It's definitely something you could do there with planting.
After 2 decades at Lee Ridges, after a whole lot of blood, sweat and tears, Rob and Trish have sold up.
It's quite nice. I quite like the kitchen.
How much of an impact did these proposals have on your decision to get out of the game?
I think it was probably a major impact. It made the decision. The uncertainty is the biggest thing, and that's probably the biggest reason that we're going is the uncertainty.
What do you think it would be like leaving this place?
Well, it's not going to be easy.
No.
What do you think you'll miss, Rob?
I'll miss the stock, what you've put into it. Just driving past and seeing, yeah, we did that.
We do know other farmers that are selling up.
A lot of the talk around is that, yeah, they're sick of it.
Problem is finding a buyer in these uncertain times. Dairy farm sales, for example, are down by nearly 40%.
Yeah, and now they're killing off dairy farming completely. Now I'll just fast forward a bit.
But the sector still has plenty to do.
What all these proposals are doing too is that for our younger generation, they'll be looking at agriculture. There's no way we're doing.
Yeah, they'll stay. They won't enter farming at all.
And that, Dad, I'm sorry, I'm not coming home to the farm.
These proposed changes don't occur
This buffoon hasn't got a clue about farming.
overnight. The proposed national policy statement doesn't take effect in practice until 2025, and they take a generation to work through.
Whether that's in 5 years' time or 25 years' time, that's the end of investment. We've cancelled all non-essential expenditure already.
Exactly. The farmers will not put any more investment into farming when it's so unsure like this. Yeah, anyway, now listen to Simon Bridges compare the National Party to Labour.
What is your path to power?
I think our path to power is quite simple. I think we show a contrast with the government. I
Show a contrast. You are the same.
agree with what some of at least Josie was saying, which is that I think what New Zealanders are seeing more and more is a government that doesn't know what it's doing, that doesn't have any sense of direction or plan for New Zealand. It just isn't delivering, and they expect better. And of course, what we have to do is we have to deliver that better.
So that's why you supported the zero carbon bill.
And I think National knows what to do in that regard.
Okay, let's consider the poll results from this evening, though. Are you pinning your hopes on either New Zealand First or the Greens missing out on winning electorate and falling under that 5% threshold?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I think I have a very clear sense of options we'll have next year, and New Zealanders need to watch
So what
this
are those?
space.
What are those options?
I'm not going to go through them.
Why not?
because-
What's the big secret? We're a year from the election. Isn't it time to tell us what the plan is?
No, because I'm happy to tell you the plan as far as National is concerned. I think first and foremost, it's about re-injecting confidence in the economy, and I know what.
So once again, so that's why you supported the zero carbon bill. Yes, Bridges believes climate change is real because thousands of climate scientists have said so.
But first, another day, another big global warming scare. Frankly, another big global warming con, and the media just didn't question it at all. Just lapped it up, repeated claims of untold suffering without making the most basic checks of this complete bull.
More than 11,000 scientists from around the world have issued a warning today declaring a climate emergency and calling on leaders to make urgent changes to prevent the worst effects of environmental breakdown.
The scientists also call for 6 actions, including shifting to renewable energy and moving to plant-based diets.
Honestly, many journalists must think you're fools, or maybe they themselves are the fools. Now, I'm going to leave the funniest thing about this report to last, but one thing that few in the media thought to mention is that this so-called study was not peer-reviewed, and there's some very good reasons for that. First, check the authors. Not one of the 5 is a climate scientist. They include an expert on wolves, an expert on dingoes, a research associate, quite junior, an evolutionary ecologist, and a trained physical chemist whose speciality now is environmental policy. In short, these people are activists. And their paper is not really a study. It's got no new research. It's a cut-and-paste job that cherry-picks and tells half-truths to present the most catastrophic scenario to scare you into becoming vegetarians or stop travelling by plane. For instance, nowhere does this scary document mention that your chances of being killed in a climate catastrophe have actually fallen 99% over the past century. It doesn't mention that cyclones are rarer, crops are bigger, the world is getting greener, and your life expectancy is getting longer. To give you just one example of its dishonesty, again, something no one in the media has picked up. This paper says there are now more wildfires than ever in the United States since the 1960s. Global warming. In fact, go back to the 1920s and you'll see the US actually has less area now burned by fires. And more importantly, you look worldwide and NASA says there have been a quarter less area burnt by bushfires over the last 2 decades. We're getting fewer fires, not more. But now, I promise you the joke. This is one of the co-authors, the dingo expert, Sydney University lecturer Thomas Newsom.
Over 11,000 scientists from over 150 countries agree and have supported our recent publication in Bioscience.
11,000 scientists, wow, and isn't that the media, that the line that the media's picked up on? 11,000 scientists, surely all those climate scientists, they couldn't all be wrong, could they? But that figure, friends, is garbage. And it says something about how shoddy this study is that it can make such a claim, and it says something even worse about the media today, that it repeated this figure, repeated it without question. In fact, more than 2,500 of those signatories are just students or researchers or people who say they've retired, because these 11,000 alleged scientists are actually just people who signed an online petition with apparently next to no checking if they really were scientists, or if they were scientists that had an expertise, any expertise at all in global warming. For instance, one of the people who signed it is Mickey Mouse, professor of the Mickey Mouse Institute for the Blind. Now, if you think, that's just a cheap gotcha, well, check through just the A's in this list, and you'll find that the people signing it include a lecturer in social work, misspelled, students, of course, a professor of political science, psychologists, nothing to do with global warming, a zookeeper, a research fellow from the James Cook University here in Australia that sacked Professor Peter Ridd for questioning global warming scaremongers. There's a sociologist, a professor of obstetrics of all things, a paleontologist, and so on. Further down the list, I've also found a developer, can you believe it? Plus vets, engineers, librarians, and a professor of theology. Well, as I've said, this is really a religion. 11,000 scientists? Absolute nonsense.
Yes, that says it all, folks. This climate change nonsense is absolute bunk. And Bridges buys into it. And it doesn't matter what these so-called scientists claim, they can all be debunked. And the sad side is this: these climate lies are about to destroy our economy. Or perhaps that is the real intention of these globalists.